everybody. It's been a while. I apologize. So, quick update. We moved back to Wyoming. Not that Wyoming has a whole plethora of jobs, but I actually am starting a part-time job here soon. So, I would appreciate prayers because, different changes. I will be hopefully still be able to do homeschool with my children. As a matter of fact, even if I have to move stuff around, I will do homeschool with my children. It is that important to me and to them and to our family. So we're here. My husband is almost done with school to get his job in his new field because he was in oil. But as you know, that isn't really a possibility anymore, or at this time. And so he's finishing up school to be some kind of tech guy. It's a long thing, but it's something that he really wants to do. He's very excited about it, and I'm supporting him in that, and it'll be good for our family. He gets to spend more time with his kids. So, blessings. God is so good. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today, which I think I have briefly mentioned before, and if some of you may know about this, some of you may not. It's called stimming. Okay? It's probably going to be backwards for you. So stimming is a behavior that is consisting of repetitive actions or movements. Okay? Now what we call it is flappy or flap happy, and Micah, he does this. Now each kid does it differently, okay? But it's caused by when your kiddo is intent on other things that are exciting or thrilling. Example, like they're watching their tablet and there's a dirt bike going over hills and crashing or something like that. Something really thrilling, Micah likes to watch this one where it's marbles, like on an obstacle course, and it just goes around and around and around, and it falls, and all kinds of different things on YouTube. It's very interesting. And he gets super overstimulated from that, hence the stimming. Now, the activities that they can do are wall push-ups, crab walk, ant march. That's the one that we used to do a lot when Micah was in what we call tutoring in classical conversations, when we would have to go to community days. When he would need a timeout, we would go out in the hallway and he would do ant marches, which would be literally like like either him on his knees or on his, like a bear crawl and marching, and we call that examples of heavy work. Now he can do smaller sensory diet seeking activities like Play-Doh or kinetic sand. That's really good. But if you're at dinner, one of the best things that you can do if they're stimming so bad that they can't pay attention is you can have him squeeze your daughter or son can squeeze their hands together, and then seriously, that helps them focus. Okay, because sometimes Micah stims so hard he falls out of his chair almost. I mean, and especially at dinner time. Let's see what else. I probably skipped over all my notes already. Now, this activity of stimming can get your kiddo so hyper-focused on what they are thinking about that they cannot focus on the task at hand, be that eating dinner or doing school. Okay, and there's some activities. This is called the sensory diet. Now, my stick figures are a little funny, but this is the sensory diet. Okay, can you see that? That's just a drop in the bucket, really. So the heavy work, I said, such as the crab walk and the ant march, those sort of things. Now, one thing that worked for me and Micah really well when I would go shopping with him before everything happened is that, and I struggled. Shopping with two kids was really hard. I can't imagine somebody who has more than two kids, 3, 4, 8, because he would get so bored easily, basically, and he would scream, and it was just not easy. And now, I did have his tablet sometimes, but I did not want him to be just on his tablet all the time. And so I started having him push the cart. Now you think, yes, there was a time or two where he ran into things, but it was giving him a job, and it was giving him heavy work. It was giving him some responsibility, and he loved it. Absolutely loved it. And we would get through an hour and a half to 2 hours of shopping with no problem. Abigail, because so I used to buy a bag of grapes before I even started shopping, and I kept my receipt with me. And they would just sit there and eat grapes. And that, don't get me wrong, we still get a snack. I prepay for it just so that we don't have any issues, But that can help too. That's an oral sensory thing. Or maybe just the kid needs a snack, okay? But that does help too. But him pushing the cart saved me my sanity. And his, and Abigail's, it was such a lifesaver. So now I just, order online. But still, that was a really good thing to do. And let me just say that if you are homeschooling or even just in school, hopefully their teachers will already know about this, hopefully. But if they need to take a break, they need to go and they need to do some kind of heavy work. It will really help refocus their mind. Think about it. When you were in elementary school or even just in high school and you had a break, to walk down, get a drink of water, whatever. If your kiddo is really having a hard time focusing, if they just go out and take a break and do some crab walks, or, I often have my son race his cousin Gracelyn when we're like at my mom's house or whatever, because she'll just go out and race him. She has no problem. And that will just get that burst of energy out, and he will be better able to sit down and focus. And it is okay if you take breaks, especially if you're homeschool. Even if you're not homeschool, if they need a break, give them a break, okay? But for homeschool, you set the rules, and there's no shame in taking several breaks. And I often have to remind myself of that, because I'm like, okay, there's these papers we have to get through, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Sometimes we don't get through all 3 or 4 pages in a day. Sometimes it happens no problem, especially if it's math, because Micah loves math. Reading and alphabet and all of those things are really difficult for Micah. He's finally reading. He's been reading for several months now, but it's still difficult. Math, he gets through them so fast. But anyways, I digress. Sort of. It was on topic, but taking breaks are okay. So another heavy work is wall push-ups. They can just push up against the wall. Push, push, push. I always say, can you push that push so hard that you can push the wall over? Push, push, push. And my little cousins love that too. They think that's so funny. Axel, oh my gosh, he thinks, oh, I'm so strong. Look at how, it's so funny. But now there's all these technical terms for everything. There's olfactory or oral sensory systems. That's part of the sensory diet. And let me just say, sensory diet has nothing to do with eating, okay? Except for in the case of oral sensory, when gum, but you don't eat gum. You shouldn't swallow gum. But them chewing gum, and now, if they're not responsible with gum and they get it in their hair or they play with it or whatever, it ends up in their clothes or something, then no, they're not old enough to really handle gum. You could probably give them a tiny piece, but really that sometimes helps center them and focus them enough to do their work or whatever task they're supposed to be doing. I tell Micah, if I catch him playing with it once, that's a warning. Twice, I take it away, because you have to give him a warning or else meltdown happens. Another thing that was suggested for oral sensory or olfactory sensory, I should say, is like using essential oils, not on their skin or anything, but I made my little cousin Axel a little fuzzy sock with rice in it, and I put some lavender or essential oils on it, and it is his favorite thing in the entire world. And I did the same thing for my kids and my two older cousins, Axel's sisters, and that is they love it, absolutely love it. So that smelling something good and cuddling it, you can heat it up a little bit to where it's warm, and those kinds of things. And that sometimes kids just want to smell stuff, and there's it's called this is a new word that I just learned listening to a podcast. I will link it down below. Now, I'm new to this podcast. I've only listened to 2 episodes, but so far it was really, really informative for me. But I will link it in the description below. You should totally check it out. But they call it proprioceptive system. Okay, like I said, lots of technical words. Now, it's like when your kid runs into you. I don't know if you've ever had this, but when your kid full on runs into you and bounces off of you or the wall. That's a real thing. And that's seeking behavior for that particular system, the proprioceptive system. So what you can do so they don't hurt themselves or hurt you is you can do deep pressure, like we do squeezes. My husband gives big bear squeezes. Not so much you hurt them, but we also do arm squeezes. Now, Micah's occupational therapist said that you squeeze away from their heart, because if you squeeze up to their heart, this is their arm, okay, I'm squeezing their arm, then it helps shoot the blood up to his heart, which gives him more energy. So you want to massage it away, like down to his hand and on his hand, and you don't want to squeeze too much together to hurt him. It's bouncing. If you have like a yoga ball or anything, I am looking into getting a yoga ball for my son soon because I want to try that out also. Swinging. Now let me tell you, I don't know if it works for every single kid, but since we found and purchased a swing, it has been a lifesaver. It has really, really helped Micah. Even sometimes when he's having a rough day, I say, go swing for 5 minutes for me. And being that we live in a trailer house, and this was one that we're renting because we sold our other one when we were going to move to Mississippi. Anyways, we used, because Micah's, she has an acronym. She's Autumn. We love her. But she suggested that we use a pull-up bar, and she actually sent Micah a pull-up bar for Christmas just for his swing, and it's an amazing one. It goes in the door jamb, because in a trailer house usually the door jamb isn't big enough or doesn't quite work. Sometimes trailer houses are weird. If it was in a regular house, it would work no problem, just the one that hooks up there, and men do their, or men and women do their pull-ups. But this one just goes across and hooks. You have to like screw it or whatever, and it hooks in there. And then Micah can swing on there with, and it's a weighted swing. You have to make sure it's within their weight class. And it's on like it's sort of a spandex-y kind of material. It's on a rope, like a climber rope. I can't think of what it's called. You know what I'm talking about. That's for weight. It's all very safe. And that is the best thing ever. I mean, it has really helped. Just giving him that proprioceptive output, whatever, I also say rocking. Now, a lot of kids will rock or sway or, each kid does something different. And that's something that usually signifies, well, okay, they're needing some kind of sensory something, So I don't know if that helped. There's so many things out there. You can look on Pinterest. I love Pinterest. And you can look up sensory diets. You can look up proprioceptive system. Look it up. It's very interesting. And there's some moms on there that have all kinds of ideas. I do have an example of something that we do for when Micah is stimming so hard that he can't sit still at the dinner table, or especially with school, trying to focus his mind, you know. And this is a lap buddy. I made this for Micah. I made him one on his first day of kindergarten too. It was a lot smaller just to fit on his lap, you know, so that he hopefully couldn't swing it around and hit anybody. And he knows that if he hits anybody with this, it's gone. Because that does happen. You know, he's in the car swinging around, hits his sister. So, this is a scarf that I got from the dollar store. It's a soft material, and I just sewed it up and put rice in it. Voila. And it's pretty heavy, actually. I don't know, it's probably at least 5, 6, 7 pounds, you know. And he just lays it across his lap, and it helps just center him enough to focus. There's also amazing, wonderful things like Play-Doh and kinetic sand. Kinetic sand Micah got for Christmas. I found it at a store, and it's amazing, amazing. And that's just one of those things that he can play with for hours. I don't know if your kiddos can do that when they're focused on something. I mean, other than the tablet, of course they can play the tablet for as long as you would let them. But Micah can play with kinetic sand for hours, like he could Legos, Transformers, you know, dinosaurs, because dinosaurs is Micah's favorite. But that kind of stuff, oh my goodness. And of course I did show, here's some bubble gum, Trident, you know, good for the teeth. But that kinetic sand, you got to look it up. I found it in Walmart in like the, I want to say, I'm pretty sure it was the toy section, but I want to say it was also in the game section by like the Uno and Old Maid, you know, those games. But just look it up online. And so I hope that answers some questions for you. If you have an occupational therapist, we don't have one at this time because of everything going on. But if you have an occupational therapist, they're basically supposed to teach your kid these things and then teach you. So ask them questions. You know, what can I do with this? You know, and they'll give you XYZ example. So thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, share if you feel led to, and leave me a comment if you have any good ideas for me. I would love more ideas, you know, or tell me what you would like another video on, and I will, if I don't know it, I will research it, and we will come up with some good things together. So thank you guys so much. And I pray that you have a blessed day, a blessed week whenever I get this uploaded. I don't want to say I will have a certain schedule yet because I'm really trying, but since I will have a part-time job now and homeschooling, I know that God will give me strength and be able to do this if this is what I'm supposed to do. So I just enjoy, telling people about my kiddo because he's the most amazing kid, you know. Abigail and Micah are my world. So, okay, thank you. Love you. Bye.